This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Ruo Xiang's body trembled, and a trace of fear flashed across his face. He knew that he had said something wrong, so he quickly regained his previous indifference and said, "It's nothing. Just take care of yourself." Guan Yi's eyes flashed with suspicion. "Cousin, I know that you've stayed on the continent for a long time, and you might know more about the human race than we do. However, isn't it a bit of an exaggeration to say that the human race can threaten our sea race? How could this kind of probing question get Ruo Xiang to answer?" He said indifferently, "I hope so." Guan Yi's face darkened and he felt a faint trace of anger. He left with a flick of his sleeves and snorted, "I hope that you can take on the responsibility given by my father. Otherwise, no matter how thick your skin is, you won't have the face to swallow my family's dragon secret treasure." "Don't worry, cousin," Ruo Xiang said coldly. "Since this dragon's secret treasure has fallen into my hands, I won't give it up no matter what. If you have so much free time, why don't you spend it on cultivation? Have you fused with the first dragon's blood I gave you?" Humph. Guan Yi's face was extremely dark. It was because he had swallowed the 2 drops of first dragon's blood that Ruo Xiang had given him that his strength had increased greatly. He had always wanted to get a true dragon's secret treasure, but he didn't expect the palace to give one to Ruo Xiang. How could he not be angry? If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't beat this person, he really wanted to kill Ruo Xiang and take all the treasures. He walked out of the palace with a gloomy face. All of a sudden, a wave of water that contained an extremely powerful force pushed in, knocking over a few of the supporting pillars in front of the palace. The force was extremely overbearing, as if it was not meant to attack, but to destroy. "Who's there? You should die." Guan Yi, who was feeling depressed, was even more furious now. His body turned into a beam of light that penetrated the water wave and struck the source of the earthquake with his palm. Bang! The water in the entire seabed surged and spun under the power of the palm, condensing into a water ball that was compressed to the extreme and exploding in front of the figure. Bang! A domineering force exploded out and pushed in all directions. The person didn't seem to mind at all. His body turned into lightning, and the water waves directly passed through his body. Guan Yi's heart trembled. He was shocked to find that the other party had already walked in front of him and was about to step on his face. He was extremely shocked. That kick was ordinary, but it contained extremely powerful laws that completely locked him down and made him unable to avoid it. Ever since he had fused with the 2 drops of the first dragon's blood, not only had his cultivation base crossed over to the mid-stage 4-star martial sovereign realm, but his actual combat strength was also far above that. How could he be stepped on by the other party with just 1 foot? In his extreme shock, the power of the dragon blood in his body instantly burst out, and his skin turned red. He roared, "Soaring dragon celestial body!" Bang! Bang! The sound of water exploding came from all around him as the law lock loosened slightly. Guan Yi hurriedly stomped with all his strength, trying to avoid the foot. If someone stepped on his face, how could he face others as a member of the Eastern Sea's royal family? Under his crazy efforts, his body finally leaned back a little, and his face avoided the foot, but he was stepped on the chest. Bang! A huge force jolted into his body, and he felt as if his internal organs were about to shatter. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying, but he heaved a heavy sigh of relief in his heart. Eh? The man was Yunxiao. He let out a soft cry of surprise. He did not expect that the man could still move under his foot. Looking at Guan Yi's red skin, Yunxiao looked slightly puzzled and thoughtfully. "Who is it?" The entire coral palace collapsed, and the angry roar of the green snapper commander came from inside. 2 beams of light broke through the fallen palace and rushed out, standing in front of Yunxiao. The green snapper commander's face was filled with rage, especially when he saw Guan Yi's pale face and blood at the corner of his mouth. He was so angry that his entire body trembled. He had caused a royal to be injured. This was a capital crime. On the other hand, Ruo Xiang's face was cold. His sharp eyes were wandering on Yunxiao's face, as if he wanted to see through the mask and see his true face. Yunxiao gave Ruo Xiang a glance, then turned to the Green Snapper commander and said, "How many people does your clan have in this sea region?" The Green Snapper commander was stunned and asked in surprise, "Why are you asking this?" "I've taken someone's money," Yunxiao said indifferently. "I plan to wipe out your Green Snapper clan for them." "What? Damn it, damn it." The Green Snapper commander had thought that something was wrong, but when it heard this, it went crazy. A powerful force suddenly burst out of its body, and it grabbed in the air with both hands. A golden spear appeared in its hands, and it stabbed forward. The spear was only an ordinary 8th-tier mystic artifact, but it was already a supreme treasure in the hands of the sea race. The tip of the spear glowed with a cold light as it went straight for Yunxiao's forehead. From the beginning to the end, Yunxiao had his hands behind his back, and with a slight tilt of his body, he dodged the spear. The Green Snapper commander's anger continued to surge, and it swept its weapon toward him, aiming for his chest. With a light tap of his foot, Yunxiao leaned back slightly, then raised his right foot in the air and stepped on the spear, kicking it back. The two moves were dealt with so easily that in the eyes of the Green Snapper commander, a strong sense of fear grew in its heart. It knew that the person in front of it was definitely a formidable opponent. "You're Li Yunxiao." Ruo Xiang, who had been watching the battle coldly from the side, suddenly had a drastic change in expression. His voice, which had almost changed, came out of his throat, and the words Li Yunxiao sounded more like a duck that had its neck choked by someone. He finally recognized the person in front of him. His body couldn't help but tremble violently, and he lost control of his emotions. The proud sons of heaven in the four seas, the geniuses who roamed the human continent and had almost no opponents, had suffered the greatest defeat in their lives at the hands of this person. Ruo Xiang's face was pale, looking even uglier than the injured Guang Yi. Guang Yi's angry and cold gaze suddenly became stunned. His brows furrowed as he stared at Yun Xiang's face. He didn't understand why he was so excited. What was the background of this human in front of him? The Green Snapper commander also stopped its attack and stood vigilantly at the side. A few tentacles on its head were shaking slightly. It was the special sound transmission method of the Green Snapper tribe to dispatch experts. "Brother Ruinxiang, I've missed you so much since we parted at the Red Moon City." Yunxiao chuckled as he stood in front of the three men. "Cousin, do you know this human?" Guang Yi came forward and asked coldly. Just now, Yun Xiang had shouted Li Yunxiao like a ghost, so he had not heard it clearly. Ruo Xiang took a deep breath. After all, he was also a genius-like existence. He slowly controlled the turbulent emotions in his heart and gradually regained his calm. Yunxiao had not only brought him the greatest defeat and humiliation in his life, but during this period of time, whenever he reached the limit of his cultivation, this man's figure would appear in his mind, and he would break through the unbearable limits one by one. He knew that the person in front of him had already become the demon in his heart. Although his cultivation speed had increased by leaps and bounds by relying on this inner demon, if he did not kill it, it would be difficult for him to make any further progress when he comprehended the Zhongdian Great Tao in the late stage of the martial emperor realm. So, Yunxiao had to die, and he had to kill him with his own hands. After a few breaths, Ruo Xiang completely calmed down and said, "Li Yunxiao, there were only 3 people I admired in my life, but now you are one of them." Li Yunxiao. Li Yunxiao. Guang Yi's expression suddenly changed and he said in horror, "Li Yunxiao. You're Li Yunxiao, the one who has hidden the rainbow stone." He finally recognized that this man was Li Yunxiao, the one who had brought him shame, reneged on the 3-month promise, and made him lose face in front of his father and brothers. Moreover, all this time, he had always thought that his father had asked Ruinxiang to support the war here, while he was just a follower. Because of the embarrassing incident of the 3-month agreement, he had long put Yunxiao on the first kill list in his heart. The Green Snapper commander was also shocked. Although he did not know the grudge between this man and the 2 royal families, as a high-level martial sovereign, he was also a very important figure among the royal families of Donghai, and he knew that the cause of this war was the Rainbow Stone. When he heard that the rainbow stone was hidden by this man, his eyes widened as big as lanterns as he stared at Yunxiao. He could not let him escape. Yunxiao's interest was piqued. I wonder which three. There was a calm atmosphere in the battle, and Ruo Xiang had already completely calmed down, saying, the first one is the one who rules the four seas, the one who the world is subservient to. Guang Yi and the Green Snapper commander's expressions changed slightly, and their eyes revealed supreme reverence. Yunxiao stretched out a finger and shook it gently. Pay attention to your words. It's the four seas that submit, not the world. Ruo Xiang didn't argue with him and continued, the second one is the king of the North Sea, my father. The Green Snapper commander's face was still full of respect, but it was much worse than when he had mentioned Poseidon before. Guang Yi, on the other hand, snorted coldly, as if he did not care. A father will always be an idol in a child's heart, Yunxiao said. I can understand. A strange expression flashed across Ruo Xiang's face, and he said, as for the third one, it's in the divine capital of the human race's holy realm. As for who it is, you can guess it yourself. Oh. Yunxiao's pupils constricted, and he seemed to be pondering. After a while, he said, are you referring to the 5 saints? Or are they the 3 from Shendu? You know a lot about the holy region, Ruo Xiang's expression changed slightly. As a human, Yunxiao said, of course, I should know better than you, sea race. As for who it is, you can go and guess for yourself, Ruo Xiang snorted coldly. Yunxiao nodded. There's no need to guess. When I beat you half to death, I'll search your soul directly, because I'm very interested in the origin of your bloodline. Ruo Xiang's expression changed drastically as he said in shock and anger, damn it, damn it. You actually have such vicious thoughts about me. Yunxiao burst into laughter. You've tried to kill me several times. What's so strange about me searching your soul? He said. However, I'm indebted to your admiration for being able to compare me with the 3 people you admire. There's no need to be humble. If you can live to that age, your achievements will not be below theirs, Ruo Xiang said. Upon hearing this, Guang Yi and the Green Snapper commander's expressions changed drastically. It was fine if Ruo Xiang used humans as an example to compare to the Sea King, but among the 3 people listed before, there was the existence of the Lord of the Four Seas, the Sea Emperor. What he said just now was already treasonous. Ruo Xiang, what nonsense are you talking about? Guang Yi was shocked and angry. How dare you offend the Sea Emperor? Ruo Xiang's expression changed, and he knew that he had misspoken. He quickly changed the topic and said, it's a pity that you won't live to that age. His feet left the seabed, and his entire body was suspended in the air. His body began to transform into a dragon. Golden scales emerged on his body, sharp claws grew out of his hands, and dragon horns grew out of his forehead. He held the Luoho spear with both hands and stared at Yunxiao in full combat mode. Are you confident that you can beat me? Yunxiao smiled indifferently. Are you confident? You had the advantage on land before, Ruo Xiang said coldly. Now that we're in the sea, I have the advantage. How hard is it to beat you? Guang Yi was shocked. He did not expect that it was Yunxiao who had seriously injured Ruo Xiang. He looked at the dragon-formed Ruo Xiang, and a hint of jealousy flashed in his eyes. If he could also have these dragon-type secret treasures, his strength would definitely be above Ruo Xiang's, and he wouldn't have to be bullied by him all the time. An extreme sense of injustice welled up in his heart. The Green Snapper commander also let out a loud cry, and its body expanded to more than twice its original size in the water. It held its golden trident and glared at him. Moreover, a large number of experts had also been summoned and had already surrounded this place. Have all the experts of the Green Snapper clan arrived? Yunxiao asked. It saves me the trouble of looking for them one by one. The Green Snapper commander flew into a rage and roared, go to hell. He waved the golden trident in the water, and instantly, water ripples spread out from the tip of the trident, forming a huge strange symbol that attacked in the air. The members of the sea race's combat strength in the sea had increased by several times, let alone a high-level martial supreme like him. One move from him was like a mountain collapsing and the heavens and earth collapsing. Yunxiao's pupils constricted, and his eyes turned as red as the moon. The entire space around him twisted rapidly, with him as the center. When the power of the overturning seas hit him, it was compressed by the space and turned into nothingness before disappearing. What? Everyone's eyes widened in shock, unable to believe what they were seeing. This human didn't move at all, and he actually made that overbearing move disappear into thin air? Spiritual power, there's actually such a powerful spiritual power. Ruo Xiang's expression was unusually ugly as he gritted his teeth and said, "You're a ninth-tier alchemist?" He had mixed feelings at the moment. He had thought that Yunxiao's strength was on par with his, and now that the environment had changed, he would certainly be able to take him down easily. But, he did not expect Yunxiao to have such a powerful trump card. There were very few alchemists in the Sea Tribe, and even if there were, they would study Tao all day long. There were also many people who would practice these spiritual attack techniques, so the Green Snapper tribe and Guangyi could not react in time. However, Ruo Xiang, who had stayed on the continent for a long time, immediately understood. A ninth-tier alchemist? The people of the sea race all sucked in a breath of cold air, their faces filled with shock, and even revealed looks of respect. "Don't pity me just because I'm an alchemist," Yunxiao said. "I'm an alchemist." The immemorial heaven's eye in the center of his brows opened, and several rays of light shot out. A powerful aura was emitted, and several figures landed beside him. This Ying Luo. Everyone's eyes widened, and even Ruo Xiang could not react in time. The people who had suddenly appeared were all martial supremes. Wow! So many monsters! Young Emperor Halian immediately cried out. His shocked face immediately turned ecstatic as he laughed. "I finally have a practice target. I can have a good time this time." He glanced at Mo Xiaochuan beside him and said smugly, "I'm sure I'm not the weakest this time." Yunxiao had released almost all the fighting forces in the Divine Realm tablet. In addition to Mo Xiaochuan, Halian, and Xiao Huang, there were also the three brothers of the Go family, the Dark Thunder, the Calabash Little King Kong, Duan Yu, and Yu Jiolin, who had reached the peak of martial honor. There was another person who frowned and kept moving his body up and down, left and right. His face was filled with dissatisfaction as he said, "I didn't say that I would help you defend against the enemy." The man was the evil spirit that had come out of Mo Xiaochuan's body. Last time, he had been robbed by 4 martial emperors before he went to the end of the world. Yunxiao had killed 3 of them and left behind the strongest 4-star martial emperor, who he had given to the evil spirit to possess. "I didn't ask you to defend against the enemy," Yunxiao said. "You can go. I just let you out." The evil spirit glanced around and saw that it was completely surrounded. It felt depressed and couldn't leave at all. In addition, it didn't dare to leave without permission. Who knew what kind of means this person would use to deal with it if it went against his will? "Lord Ruo Xiang, what's going on?" The Green Snapper commander was a little stunned and asked the experienced and knowledgeable Ruo Xiang in confusion. Ruo Xiang's face sank, and a thought grew wildly in his heart. Could it be a supreme-grade profound-level weapon? That day in Songyue City, he had personally seen the death of the monster race use the armillary sphere. Wasn't Noah's ship the only supreme Xian artifact of the human race? With a glance, Ruo Xiang immediately discovered the strength of these people in front of him, and he was more and more convinced that Yunxiao had a supreme-grade mystic artifact in his hand. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to hide so many people. An indescribable excitement spread from the bottom of his heart. If he could kill Yunxiao today, not only would he be able to take revenge for what happened that day, but it was also very likely that he would be able to find the rainbow stone. What made him tremble with excitement was that if he could get a supreme-grade profound-level weapon, he would definitely be able to rule the world in the future. "I don't know." Ruo Xiang replied to the Green Snapper leader and said word by word, "Kill them all, leave no one alive." "Yes." A cold glint flashed in the Green Snapper commander's eyes. The appearance of these people in front of them had greatly reduced their advantage, but they still had the confidence to win. "Kill them all." Voila. The sea tribe members that were densely packed from all four sides moved all at once, surging forward madly. Just the strength of the current alone was like an iron plate pressing down on everyone's body, causing them to frown. Duan Yu smiled wryly and said, I thought I could help you a little after I reached the peak of martial honor. I didn't expect your enemies to be stronger and stronger. I can't keep up with the progress. Commander against commander, minions against minions, Yunxiao said. You can just deal with those minions. Duan Yu felt depressed. He was already a peak martial venerable, but he was still a minion. But he had to admit the reality, so he charged at the Sea clan members who were also minions. All of a sudden, they spread out from Yunxiao's side and attacked the Sea tribe in all directions. In addition to the Green Snapper tribe, there were some other Sea tribe clans nearby, but they were all extremely weak and basically cannon fodder. Bang! Bang! All sorts of explosions rang out, and the sea became chaotic. A large-scale explosion spread out. Mo Xiaochuan and the others were like a hot knife through butter, killing dozens of Sea tribe members in an instant. Even a martial sovereign was killed on the spot. The Sea tribe members were so frightened that they retreated desperately and did not dare to come forward. The Green Snapper commander's expression changed drastically, and he said angrily, Everyone, surround and kill them. Anyone who tries to escape will die. Only then did the members of the Sea clan gather their courage. They all roared and rushed down, their eyes instantly turning red. The eyes of a few martial sovereigns of the Sea clan popped out and they attacked ferociously. With the advantage of their improved strength in the sea, they trapped everyone and began a long battle. Although the gourd little King Kong's attack was not the strongest, it was the most effective killing machine. There was no existence here that could hurt him. He threw out punches one after another, and each punch exploded the enemy. Although the three Go brothers and the evil spirit were unwilling, the sea race wouldn't let them off even if they didn't do anything, so they could only brace themselves and fight. When the Green Snapper commander saw that his team had suffered a huge number of casualties in an instant, he was so shocked that his body trembled and his eyes spewed fire. Lord Green Snapper, calm down and take this person down with me, Ruo Xiang said. Cousin Guang Yi, you will be responsible for those dregs. Guang Yi snorted and flew up to kill those humans. Although he was extremely unwilling to be commanded by Ruo Xiang and didn't want to play the role of a minion, the situation was pressing. Strength was not up to him. The commander of the Green Snapper also calmed down after hearing Ruo Xiang's words, and he directed all the anger in his eyes at Yunxiao. The three of them stood quietly, but the danger within was no less than the periphery. The aura on each of them rose to the extreme, pressing the seawater to surge, almost forming a whirlpool that spread out in all directions. The rest of the people could not help but retreat under the pressure of the seawater and aura. They fought further and further away until they were all 100 meters away. Ruo Xiang took a deep breath and said, It's enough that I've only admired 3 people in my life. I don't need a 4th. So, you can stay here forever today. He turned the spear in his hand and charged at Yunxiao. Yunxiao's pupils constricted, and a layer of frost suddenly appeared on his cold sword. He held the sword in front of him and flicked the spear away with a bang. When the extremely powerful force on the spear forced him to take a few steps back, he was shocked. Although the sea race could display their power in the sea, Yunxiang's current strength seemed to be above his expectations. Ruo Xiang moved extremely fast, even faster than he could move on land. He circled above Yunxiao with the momentum and thrust his spear again. With a wave of his sword, Yunxiao lifted the ice sword in front of him. An ocean of sword chi emerged around him, transforming into more than 10 sword-shaped swords and slashing upward at the same time. Bang! The 2 profound-level weapons collided with a crisp sound, and a stream of dragon chi burst out of the spear, directly destroying the sword. The tremendous force pushed Yunxiao down a little, and his legs were pushed into the ground, sinking into his knees. At this moment, the Green Snapper commander's pupils dilated, and its golden fork pierced through the air at a speed that was even faster than that of Ruo Xiang.